Howdy, friends. Back talking about free promotional stuff for Ken Coleman and his Get Clear assessment. I took the Get Clear assessment just to remind you guys if you haven't seen part one. What his Get Clear assessment does is it looks at your life, the way that you function, the way that you think, and it breaks everything down into your top three talents, your top three passions, and the mission or the results that really get you excited, which helps you to get clarity on what you're doing for a career. So, last time I shared with you what my mission was, that I was created to use my talents of imagination, discernment, and inspection to perform my passions of leading, promoting, and performing to accomplish my mission of creation. And I said how last time, one of the first things that did for me is it helped me to evaluate where it is I am right now as a youth pastor and a part-time Chick-fil-A employee. And it made me think a lot about whether I needed to jump ship or if I needed to just refine some of the ways that I do things in order to increase the amount of creation that I'm doing, increase the amount of imagination, and maybe to tamper back on some of the areas where I am less passionate and or less talented in. And today's, I wanted to share with you the next realization I had, which was careers that I needed to give up on. So once I took the assessment, it suddenly made a lot of sense why some of the things that I used to be very interested in, I'm not interested in anymore. Some of the things that I used to think I could do for a career, I gave up on, and now I'm like, oh, well, that's why I gave up on that. So, like, for example, one of said careers was, let me scoot this back a little bit so I don't look like an awkward little beanpole standing there. Okay. One of the careers was audio engineering. So I did some audio engineering when I was at CentraKid camps. I was there for 3 summers, and I was the audio video guy. And I will say right away, that is the most fulfilled I've ever been in a job because it frequently used all of my talents, all of my passions, and accomplished my mission. But there are individual elements of it that I'm glad I don't do anymore. One of those is the audio engineering. And I do some of that here for the church. I fill in when our audio visual guy is out. But it made me realize I could never do that as a career. Why is that? Well, the audio visual stuff is a lot of object work, okay? It's a lot of object and refining work. What does it have from my purpose statement here that, might have made it interesting for me? There's a lot of inspection, okay? Audio engineering, as the guy who taught me told me, is 10% solutions and 90% troubleshooting. It's trying to figure out, okay, why the heck does this sound like crap right now? And is there something that I can do to fix it? So you're hunting down for maybe if there's an issue with it or if it's just, the singer sucks. There was one time that the bass player in our band was way too loud, and there was at one point I pulled my volume all the way down. There was no sound from the bass player pumping through the audio system, and it was still ridiculously loud, like vibrating the walls. And he told me that he had his volume on his bass guitar all the way down except for just a tiny little pinch. And it was still like shaking everything, so they were blaming me. Well, he went to the back and he looked at his bass cabinet. He says, "Oh, I thought I was plugged into half of the cabinet, and I'm plugged into the whole thing. My bad, dude." But you see, that was one of the things that was interesting to me because I got to use my inspection to be able to figure out what the problem was. Why did I not pursue a career, even though at one point I thought I could pursue a career as an audio engineer? Why did I end up not doing it and have no interest to do it anymore? Well, there's no real imagination. I'm not creating anything. I'm not leading. I'm not really promoting, and I'm not performing at all. As a matter of fact, it really checks very little of the boxes on this mission. Even though it was something I was decently okay at, it doesn't check any of my boxes. So it makes sense why I dropped it. Video editing. My first job out of college, and what actually the job that got me through my senior year of college, I did a lot of video editing. I did the full thing, like the filming and the editing and the actually publishing it and putting it on the website and stuff like that. I was a little bit better at that, and that was something I was also really really good at, because sometimes it involved some imagination, it involved some inspection. I needed to do some research, um, and it gave me the opportunity to do some promoting. And it technically was a form of creation, even though I wasn't making the original ideas. I was still putting together the final product. What did it not check? It did not check the performing. I was doing no performing work whatsoever. I wasn't doing any leading. The imagination was very limited. There wasn't really a lot of discernment going on. So, kind of makes sense why I ended up dropping it. It only checked about half of the boxes. What about ones that I realized I needed to drop once I took the assessment? For a long time, I was very interested in the idea of financial coaching, kind of like what Dave's team does. And what they do is they have endorsed local providers. These are people who have the knowledge and the beliefs that the Ramsey team does, that you can meet face to face with and talk about. And I thought, you know what, I like this money, and I've got enough knowledge of it that I could do it very easily even. Now, what would that allow me to do? Well, there would be a level of leadership, which is very people oriented. I'd be leading them. I'd be promoting the ideas of good money habits and, performance. I like to be a goofy guy that just interacts with people face to face. So there's a level of performing that's involved in that. It involves a high level of discernment, being able to weave through a lot of information and being able to narrow down to a couple of things. And the inspection, well, let's hunt down what those details are. Checks a lot of boxes, right? What does it not check? The imagination is very limited because I'm not really creating anything new. And it doesn't involve my mission of creation very much, because I'm not creating anything new. I'm refining what's going on in their lives. You see how that created a lot of clarity and helped me to narrow down a lot of things. I don't know if you're like me, but if you're anything like me, then you've got a whole bunch of different things that you're like, I could be interested in that. I could do that. I'd be good at that. What this did is it helped me to narrow down a lot of those things and say, okay, this is a dream that I probably need to give up on. And then once I gave up on it, I was like, I don't really miss it that much. That's a dream I don't think I mind giving up on. That's why I think that everybody should take this assessment. Like I said in the first video, it gave me the opportunity to look at my life and to say, do I need to change things, or do I need to just adjust things so that I'll be more happy where I am rather than changing where I am? The second thing I noticed right away is there were some dreams I needed to give up on, and it wasn't going to be a big loss if I gave up on them. I hope that makes sense to you, and I hope that gives you the desire to look forward towards some other, doing this yourself and seeing if, maybe you need to make some adjustments to where you are right now, or maybe if you need to change where you are entirely. That's all I got for you today. I'll keep you updated as I get some more insights as to how this really helped me. But again, that is the Get Clear assessment at kencoleman.com, and you can get the book, Do the Work You're Wired to Do, and his proximity principle, which I hope to get sometime soon and look into. I thank you guys very much for tuning in, and I'll see you later.